It is Tuesday, September 24th. It is the final home series for the Oakland A's beginning this evening. Final night game is tomorrow. I will be in attendance. And as you can see, Brodie Brazil is here to talk about that and a few other things as well. Brody, thank you so much for joining me. How are you, pal?
It's a hard question for me to answer. Do you want the short version? Do you want the real version? Do you want the fake it version? I'm doing a lot of different things right now.
Let's do the billable hours version. Let this be therapy for you, my friend.
Well, I should lay down and be horizontal then. It's some mornings are frustration. Some mornings are disbelief. Some mornings are, hey, let's just get this done with, like the writing's been on the wall. Some days are sadness. I had a full-on meltdown on Sunday at the Coliseum. I don't know why running across Dallas Braden made me cry. I'm strong enough and vulnerable enough to admit that I had a full-on cry session with Dallas Braden and clubhouse manager Matt Weiss, like two of my buddies I've known for a lot of years, and I just lost it. I was my last day being out there. So to sum it up, I mean, people ask me that, and some people have an exact clue of what I'm going through, what everybody's going through. Other people have no idea. So I gauge that response, or I dictate my response on who they are. But it's a hard question to answer right now. Got to be honest.
There's a lot going on with you professionally that I'm sure goes into the emotional cauldron that is boiling inside of you. And then there is also the fact that, all businesses are people businesses. And when you get to cover a team for as long as you have, true, real relationships are forged. And then when those are pulled away from you, you are losing something. It is a loss. It is something to mourn. And there's an awful lot of A's fans, Bay Area sports fans who are feeling these emotions right now.
How many of us are really good at change? I don't think any of us are. And I think when it comes down to it, I'm a person that's bad at it. And I'm that way because I'm a loyal person. My job before this one, I was at it for 7-8 years. And then this current job that's about to end after Sunday, it's almost 16 years. And as somebody told me, a NHL head coach texted me when I had my announcement, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And his text to me was, hey, change can be exciting. And that really sunk in with me because I realized that was number one, the thing that I'm maybe struggling with or fighting against. And I mean change for me, professionally, and also change of the A's leaving is not exciting. It's more the personal side. But I mean, if you think about it, the opportunities that might exist because of this, and things I never would have approached because of this, they could be great. Now, I don't see them right now. They're not right around my corner right now, but time will tell. So,
it's funny. I think you're totally right. I think we all sort of fear change. It's not the fear of change that really gets to me. It's the love of my routine, which got taken away from me.
Yeah.
I love getting up in the morning, making my coffee, reading the, modern version of the paper, going online, and then sitting down, thinking about it, letting some ideas ruminate, hop in the shower, make myself a little lunch, start making the notes that become the crux of today's show. I have a perfect routine and just gone.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, and teammates too. I mean, I know you and I have been doing separate but similar YouTube endeavors. And look, I have a great time coming in the home studio, and I get to do the topics I want and the things that maybe television didn't have time for or space for or didn't have the direction for. So I'll do that stuff here. But there is something about showing up and hanging out with Dave Stewart, Shooty Babitt, Bip Roberts, and getting ready to do a pregame and a postgame of a baseball show or a hockey show. And that's the whole other part of this hockey season and the Sharks resurgent fan. It is right around the corner. And I've been at it for so long. I remember the good days, and then I went through the rough spots. So, look, I will still be all over Shark stuff one way or another. I promise people that. But it's you're right. I think routine is a part of it, and it's not just routine, because I also think, Damon, and I'll say this about you, and I'll hopefully think people would think this about me. As long as you've been doing it, as much as you could just turn on the mic and mail in a show and just do it all off the brain. I know you don't do it like that. I don't do it like that. There's a ton of preparation that comes across when I watch and listen to something you're doing. And so again, it is a comforting routine, but it's also a routine that was still worked at really vigorously, it really was.
Yeah. No. And look, it's funny. Like you said, 16 years, I've been in the market for almost 20, and you and I have always been like the ships that passed each other and said hello politely to each other. We never really worked together. I don't think we've ever hosted a single show together, but we have done a lot of like crosstalk, like crossover shows. I would come in and you'd be playing something awful off the Brodie Brazil playlist.
Then you'd walk in and go, nope, I'm walking right back out of the studio.
I think that's New Kids on the Block. I'll be back tomorrow, everybody.
I have to tell you, my one beef with you, though, is the fact that you have embraced Sutro Tower as kind of your image and your branding.
Yeah.
And I'm mad at that because a long time ago, I thought about doing that and I never did. And you beat me to the punch. And I've been fascinated with that stupid tower sitting on the top of that hill in San Francisco since I was a kid. What is that? That's even before I knew broadcasting was going to be my thing. So I'm kind of mad at you that you have made that your own and that I didn't even get the chance. And it's in your intro and it's on, look at it, it's on your logo right up here. I mean,
are you ready to be really pissed off? Wait till you see this, Brody.
What else you got? Oh, you got like a model of it? Oh. Man,
look at that.
People are like, oh, Brody's got a cool home studio. Yeah, I don't have my logo on a football helmet with the visor and everything. Oh my gosh.
Here's the difference between your home studio and my home studio. Radio career, television career. That's the difference in our home studios. Look at how much more tan and well lit and how well lit your background looks. Are you using self-tanner or are you that well lit in your own home studio, for God's sakes?
I don't know how it's coming across on my screen. It's proportionate, it's accurate, the skin tones are proper, but I don't know. You know what's the funniest part about this is in the last couple of years as my channel has grown and I just meet more people from out of this market who didn't know me. And their two questions are, number one, like, who did all that studio for you? Like, did you have somebody set it up? And then I have to kind of admit, well, like, this is my background. This is what I've always done.
This is what I do.
The other one was, oh, I always thought that was at NBC. Oh, that's at your house?
That's what I thought originally too.
This is at my house. Yes.
That's what I thought. I thought that they set up a corner of the studio for you to, like the Fugazi thing. So
they set up a corner. All right. They said, go sit in that corner and don't come out of that corner, but there was no studio. There's no studio over there.
So my buddy, Nick Wright, has his YouTube show as well that looks very ad hoc coming from his home. But I've talked to Nick about it and he's like, oh dude, I got an entire production team sitting behind the camera. And it's supposed to look like I just turned the camera on, but there's a lot more going on. Right. And I thought that maybe you had that thing going with you too. Look, we got so much to talk about. I hope you got a lot of time here. Our good friend who used to be on, the digital media coordinator for 95.7 The Game, Carl Buszczak, saying this is going to be a good one, but this is going to be a rough week. And he is just a huge A's fan. Look, I'm a big Last Dive Bar guy. I love those guys. Oh, by the way, I say Last Dive Bar out loud, and look at that. Look at them coming in. Super chatting here. A round of beer for Damon and Brody. All right. Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Last Dive Bar.
They have been, to me, I got to say, so supportive. And, the things that I do, they amplify. And so I really appreciate what they've done for everybody and just the voice. But they've done such cool things for me.
It's so sad to watch people care so much about something and watch no element of reflection of that care being projected back to them. And look, you're soon to be a broadcasting free agent. The last thing I want to do is open up any avenue that makes it harder for you to either do the last lap of the current job you are still duty bound to, or, burn a bridge before you get to any next opportunity. Having said all that, Brody, that John Fisher letter, holy shit. Had he just written the word blah 400 times and signed it John Fisher, I think it would have carried more weight and gravity and sincerity than what we saw. I'm not even going to dignify it by reading any element of it, but it was an insult. It was insulting to everyone who is an A's fan or has followed even any element of this story on a tertiary level. It's to be as in it as you and I are. It's really offensive.
The timing and the tone, and I don't know what the intention was. If it was to make people feel better, I don't Can we say that happened? I mean,
Who
let's
said,
take
John, do this?
let's take
Who
my
said
opinion, your opinion. Can we say that anybody healed because of that? I think it was actually the inverse is maybe what actually happened yesterday. I saw it. It was sent to me, multiple people as soon as it came out, and I kind of almost said, "Oh no," like life would have been easier to just kind of gauging the pace of how things are going, and,
Right.
and this timing of this. This was a 1 month ago type situation or after Sunday type situation, but I don't know. It didn't feel great in a lot of ways.
It was tone deaf. It was unnecessary, and I think it's living proof that the man surrounds himself with people who have bad or incomplete ideas. I mean, who said, John, this is a good idea. Let's go forward with this. Let me help you with this paragraph. Let's make sure it lands a little. I just don't understand that at all. It was a completely insincere attempt at a goodbye. And oh, by the way, if you don't mind me changing the subject to a very sincere goodbye, I heard the wobble in your throat when you were saying goodbye to Shooty Babitt, who is one of the nicest people I have ever met around the sport of baseball. I could tell that was as hard a moment for you as it was to announce that you actually were being laid off in the first place. Because that, again, it's not a profession.
Right.
It's a person.
Yeah. And I think as we were discussing the statement that came out yesterday, it was a written statement. I don't know how many paragraphs, but when I had a statement to make, I thought about how to deliver this to people. And I know what everybody does. In fact, I said it at the beginning of my own personal statement at the beginning of September that I know most people write this out, they screenshot it, they put it on social media, and that's it. They didn't have to say those words. They didn't have to put themselves in front. And I don't know, it was my idea at some point. I had to sit on this, excuse me, for a while to figure out how I was going to deliver the news. I had some time to obviously go over it more than once, but I feel like if you're really going to send your message in the most human way, it's got to come from your face, your voice. And, you've got everybody in 2024, everybody's got a production crew or the ability to sit in front of a camera and do this. Anyway, to the point, the last couple weeks of my own statement, saying goodbye to Shooty on Sunday, quite honestly, saying bye to Bip. He's going to be with me on Thursday afternoon. And then ultimately on Sunday, saying goodbye to Stu and doing the final show. And I've known this was going to play out this way, but now that we're here, and you're right, the wobble in somebody's voice, when I can't even sit in front of a camera on a studio that I've done thousands of shows and I can't even keep it together. I'm trying, trust me, I'm not doing that for effect. That is me. I will not be able to stop myself from crying again on Thursday. It is going to happen. And I'm not making it happen. I'm not really trying to stop it. I would get through it easier if I didn't have these emotional breakdowns. It hits me that hard. And it's the whole situation. It's not being able to do my job for anymore after 16 years, and also just the team situation. So it's a double whammy, and you're right. It makes it extremely hard to get through even saying those words that I've already written out, words that I know I'm going to say. But when I actually get to delivering them and looking at Shooty or looking at Bip or looking at Stu or knowing that I'm talking to a passionate A's audience out there, I can't, it's greater than me. I can't get through it. I really can't.
Well, again, I know a lot about you. You're not an actor. I don't think we would give you a role and say, play sad for us, Brody. Can you make it emotional and add some depth to this by pretending to care more than you really do?
I would never want to be accused of that. And I will say this. I mean, here's a totally separate story. Our first show back, I think that must have been the 2022 season, after Ray Fosse had passed. He passed in the offseason.
Yeah.
And I knew opening day we would do a Ray Fosse tribute. And I said, look, I'm gonna go in there, and I'm not going to. There's no showmanship of trying to cry over somebody who passed 6 months ago. But as soon as we showed the montage, oh boy, it's like I can't. This lets you know. So I'm not trying to go out there and be emotional. But I'm also probably not going to, if it happens, I'm not going to stop it. It just needs to happen.
Look, so a couple of other things have come. We're just going to kind of bounce around. We're just going to let this happen. Our friends again at the Last Dive Bar are coming in
Oh.
with a very, very good piece of advice, I think.
Yeah.
Let's be the example tonight and the next two games that we always have been. Don't give the A's the satisfaction to say, I told you so. Respect the Coliseum. It will always be our home. I think that is a yes, a million times yes. And remember, any damage to the Coliseum does no damage to John Fisher at all. It is not his. So please be respectful of the Coliseum. And there's a part of me that really feels, Brody, this is not the last A's game at the Coliseum. There's a part of me that is so convinced that there's no element of this move that John Fisher cannot screw up, that they might end up back there somehow, some way, maybe not next season, but after Sacramento is just an unappealing option and it's going to take a few more years to get to Vegas, I could see them somehow, some way continuing somehow, some way at the Coliseum. I don't think it's over yet.
Well, let's say this. Let's take the A's out of the equation. Let's say any team that's trying to pull off the two-step move. It's inherently hard to like set up a temporary shop, or let's say, Damon, like you were in the process of moving your family somewhere, but you couldn't go from, I don't know, San Francisco to wherever, and you had to stop it at spot B in the middle of between A, B, C. So the point is, like, logistically, with all the things that they're having to go through, and the roadmap of this charted course, it itself is a very difficult process for anybody who's ever done this or not before. So to your point, nothing would surprise me. I'm also here to tell you that if there are complications in Las Vegas, if there are and I'm saying we can talk about the Tropicana being imploded at the end of the beginning of next month, literally in 2 weeks. It's and people will say, well, they're making room for the baseball stadium. Well, until the shovel goes in the ground, and this was the same thing said about Oakland and Howard Terminal, until the shovel's in the ground, then it hasn't really started yet. And if that stadium does not start getting built by the second quarter of next year, 2025, I can tell you the state of Utah and their $900 million and their Larry H. Miller group that runs Big League Utah, they're going to throw their name back in the hat. And just the way they did with the NHL when the Arizona Coyotes were facing turmoil, that state up there has got $1.8 billion that they've approved, 900 for hockey and basketball, 900 for baseball. They're just going to remind people like, we're here. I don't know if you saw, but the Portland Diamond Project, they're just purchasing 33 acres of riverfront land right next to downtown Portland. So all these other distractions and things are going to emerge. So I know people will say, well, hey, come right back to Oakland or stay in Sacramento is another one. I'm just here to tell you that I think the wealth of options is even deeper than just Oakland. This might even get more confusing before it gets understood.
Which would be very on brand for this entire story. It really would be. Fuji Simeon 13 says Larry Beil literally ripped the Fisher letter live. He did. He tore it up on set. From I was just a radio broadcaster. You were a TV guy. It's easier to be
are a
TV guy. It will be a TV guy.
I got 6 more days left. Calm down.
Before you walk the plank of your television career, for someone who is on TV and understands all the puppets and the masters that you have to serve to have one of those very high-profile jobs, Larry Beil went above and beyond the call of duty in that one. I was impressed by that. That was Larry Beil basically told his program director, here's what I'm going to do. Keep the camera rolling and don't tell me you don't like it when it's over, because this is going to go viral. And it has.
I think, and you know this from any type of presentation, it goes twofold. You can be angry and be furious and let that be your message about how enraged somebody is. Or you can also take the approach of, I'm just going to make so many good points here that the viewer or the listener is going to be like, holy smokes. I mean, this is a mic drop, end of the story segment type here. I think what Larry did was combine a little bit of both, right? He got the emotions in there, but he got some of the facts in there. And I think also, what he also did was show that maybe not everything that's written is factual. It's somebody's perspective on it. It's somebody's opinion on it. But if you were to go and fact check every part of that. Or look, even if I put out something, like somebody has to go fact check it to say, is that actually true? Or is that just one person's opinion on it? So again, I think his performance on that was not just getting mad, which I think was what caught a lot of people's attention, but it was the attention to detail, I think, in interpreting what he was.
Yeah. I mean, there was, I believe receipts is how the kids would say it, right?
Keeping receipts
on this.
But you kind of have, like, that's another part of this, is that there are so many elements to the last 3-4 years, 5-6 years, 10-15 years. Like the saga has gone on so long, and somebody like Larry, who's been around this and covered it, like and when if we're saying, okay, keeping receipts, but to whatever you want to call it, he's been around this to understand it. And I think it's weird, and you know this from being around here as long as you have now, there are a lot of people who are just new to this area, new to the story, new to the region. So they're only current on like 2019 and beyond, or 2022 and to present. And so somebody like Larry is literally taking it from, I don't know, when did he come back here from ESPN? Was it in the 90s? And he was at Channel 2, I think, before that. So, he's somebody who deeply understands everything.
I was on ESPN radio back in Bristol, like turn of the century, and Larry Beil was there. We were ships passing in the night. I had just shown up in the Bay Area. He was moving back out to the area, and he did the old KG, oh. He would drop the big O, and it would be, he and Todd Wright would sometimes do some up all nights with Todd Wrights together. Those were fantastic. And I've always had a lot of respect for Larry, and my respect for Larry increased in just the last 24 hours. I thought it was a fantastic thing that he did. I will say this, in my entire time here in the Bay Area, I can't think of any broadcaster who has sat in a more awkward position than you've been put in by the circumstances around you. And you have handled it with an aplomb I don't even know that I'd be capable of. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be capable of it. You have a level of professionalism that has been the baseline of your career that is certainly helping you through this moment right now.
If that was a question, I don't have any answer, because I take that as the ultimate compliment, because honestly, Damon, that's been my aim. And I think it's always been my aim, even if we're just talking about, sports items, let alone relocation and politics and individual situations. I've always felt like the high road would serve me best, even in criticizing a team or a player or the 49ers, like total upset loss on Sunday. Like, let's not make this personal, but like, let's view this from a highest possible view perspective, what actually happened, point out some things, not have to make it a curse session. Like and no disrespect to anybody else who does that. I've always just tried to take a different approach, a more, I don't know, maybe measured approach to everything. And to your point, yeah, the things that have presented themselves in the last year or two, yeah, it stressed me out. And I appreciate you saying that. I mean, handling some things that people are aware of or were not aware of, in front of the camera, behind the scenes, it has not been easy. I promise you that. So I appreciate you recognizing that.
Absolutely. And look, here's Leslie, who's been watching forever. She said, Brody handling life's disappointment with grace. It's what we're all trying to do, right? And some people do better than others. And Brody, you've done an incredible job with this. If this is one of the more awkward broadcasts, situations any broadcaster has been put into, can I talk about one of the weirdest exchanges of my entire broadcasting career here in the Bay Area? And you were...
I was involved?
Unwillingly dragged into it. I don't even know if you remember this, but I was trying to book an interview with Dave Kaval years ago.
I think okay. I don't remember all the details, but okay. Yeah. Remind me.
I was trying to book an interview with Dave Kaval years ago. And I told him, I'm DMing him. Mm-hmm. And I just said, Dave, I've got questions that I am not going to let you dance around if you agree to this. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, then it shouldn't be an interview. It should be a debate. And we should do it on our air. And Brodie Brazil should be the moderator. All of a sudden we dragged you into this. And I'm like, what does Brody have to do with our interview?
Well, see, but I'll take that as the ultimate compliment. Somebody thought I would be so fair about it. So whatever, I don't mindful. Yeah, no, I know. Now I remember that. I remember, all I remember was it happened in the mid-morning, late afternoon, and I was going into work that later that day, so I tried not to address it until I got there, and I don't even, was that like 2019, 18, or was that later?
Yeah, no, I think it was.
It was
I mean, I'm guessing. So the A's had already pulled off the station. So it's got to be 2019. It's pre-pandemic. This was when we were all still getting together to do things.
Yeah.
And he proposed that he and I had a debate. And I even wrote him back. I said, you doing this with me on the air is the best thing that could happen to you, because if you take me off the air to do this, I'm going to come at you, Dave, in a way that is more uncomfortable than you being on the radio and I'm bound by FCC rules. Like, you do not want this. And then he eventually was like, yeah, I think you're right. And he just backed out of the whole thing. But that was so weird. And he just dragged you into it as if you wanted to get caught in that crossfire at all.
I think I remember driving into work that day knowing that had all happened, and I was like, how do I get out of this? How do I exit the room just like quietly and shut the door like I'm putting my kid to bed? And I remember I kind of walked in, and it was a previous generation of, I think, bosses that I had. So I and they did the right thing for me. I showed it to them, and they looked at me like, and I'm like, thank you. Like, what you're telling me is you'll protect me and just keep. I don't want to be in this again. Like, I'm not trying to get in everybody's situation and everybody's argument, disagreement, debate, whatever. And those things can happen. That's totally fine. But yeah, I did not want to be part of that.
That was you would have been the only part of that was classy.
I would have done the whole thing like, are we done?
It was so weird. It was so weird that happened. By the way, this just came and went. Let me read this to you because I agree. Brody, thank you for a superb job covering the San Jose Sharks. As someone who is all over the San Jose Sharks, who are very much at an inflection point in their franchise's history, just give me your quick thumbnail sketch of where they are and how they might maybe play into your next career choice, if at all.
I mean, you know what? First off, I've been in contact with them. They've been so courteous and kind to me about the situation, and like, hey, we're not done here. Basically, is kind of the message that I think both sides have told each other between me and the Sharks. I will always be a fan, and Damon, I tell you, for as rough as this A's situation has been and all of the stuff that's happened and the way it's played out, think about whatever the exact inverse of that is, and that's the San Jose Sharks, like doing all the right things. Now, I understand in the hierarchy of Bay Area sports and where the 49ers are at now and where the Giants have been and where the Warriors have been and like the A's and Sharks have not, just hockey in general in this area, it's a non-traditional market, but the team has been so good, but the people there have been so good at being consistent. They had to rebuild. They've done it. They've tore things down. They're on the rise again. I mean, with Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and Quentin Musty and Yaroslav Askarov, like they are restocking and reloading. There's no question that they will be back at the forefront of the sports conversation in the Bay Area, like just kind of like they were in the 2010s. Still going to take a few years. So I don't want people to show up this year and say, well, Celebrini, why is this team sub 500? It's going to take a while, but trust, you got to, on this one, when I say trust the process, it's the definition of that, because this process is going the right direction and they are poised for it. But again, I just want to make really clear, they have been so good to me throughout all this. And I will never, ever not be a Sharks fan. I mean, they've in all of this, they have won me over even more as people, the people top to bottom in that franchise, if that's even possible.
So if I'm your agent, I
don't have one, by the way, but you can be mine. Yeah.
You don't want me, but here's the thing. Now, look at what I've done in my career. You want to steer in yours as well. But look, if I'm your agent, I am trying to get you hired on a permanent Sharks broadcasting situation. But beyond that, and I've told this to you, you're no teleprompter reader. Like you could pop up in any studio and do pre and post for anything. You are that good at what you do in that capacity. The best I have seen of you has been as an in the moment reacting to the game that happened on ice reporter. I have told you that you should be on NBC's Stanley Cup coverage. You should be part of hockey's A broadcasting team and be the guy who's standing in the penalty box getting the in-the-moment interview. I think you're great at that. And I hope that that is something that lays in your future and that you might want to pursue more in your future as well, because I think you nail it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. My wife and I did a lot of talking about what's next and what I should pursue. And she made kind of a comment that was true, but when she said it felt weird. She goes, you know what, you were happiest in those days when I don't want to say when we met, like this is 15 years ago, but when you were always at the Sharks and you were between the benches and you seemed really happy back then. It was like, well, it might be a multitude of things in my life that changed.
It was Olin Nolan. He made me so happy.
I used to sleep full nights back then. Now I don't anymore. But I mean, I appreciate that. I certainly, I'll tell you what I love about hockey and covering it. Like I said before, in this market, everybody, I'm back in fantasy football now. I realize how dominant football conversation is, but it's so cool that like when I pick up my son from school and I know who all the other parents are who are hockey fans because they'll come up to me and start asking. And then I feel like we're having this secret conversation of hockey stuff, Shark stuff, NHL stuff. And everybody else is like, I don't even know what they're talking about, but to speak their language, and it's fine if it's not the biggest audience around here. I was up in Canada back in May. Actually, the playoffs are going on, and I was reminded of just like how important the sport is across the continent, and you know what, how much room for growth there still is here in places like Northern California. So I will always. It used to be like on my Twitter bio, or it was like my pinned tweet for a long time. I want to help grow the game of hockey here in Northern California, and you know what? If this career transition for me, if that's part of it, that'd be a really cool thing. If I could get back to really helping that grow in this area.
By the way, speaking of helping things grow, there's Ike.
What's up, Ike?
Which is saying, love you, Brody.
Thank you, Ike.
Let me just say right now, if you don't mind me saying, it is the perfect time for everyone to download that new Ike's app. It has been updated. You can win free sodas, free chips. Every single time you open it, there's something to win. His new app is fantastic. Over 100 locations. There are deals off sandwiches right now on Saturdays. Get and download that Ike's app and start earning your way towards free sandwiches. And Brody, when you do come into town, we're going to the Dubliner in West Portal, and we're going to be hanging out. So I am going to the Coliseum Wednesday night with Kenny of the Dubliner. His best friend from high school is Johnny Gomes.
Oh, Johnny.
We're all getting together in one of those concrete bunkers that they call luxury suites at the Coliseum. And we'll be up there with a big crew tomorrow night. And it's going to be emotional. I can't wait to hear Johnny off the record talk about, a few things. But love the guys at the Dubliner. Love you, Ike. And there you go, Brody. He loves you too.
Just not enough to get that sandwich named after me yet, huh, Ike? Huh?
There you go.
There's never been a conversation. Actually, you know what? I just bathe in the dirty sauce, so that's me. That's my thing.
See, he knows. Maybe it's time. The Zamboni sandwich. Name it after Brody. A little something there. Smooth it out. Smooth it over.
I got one problem, and I think some people are aware of this, and you're probably not. But I'll tell you, I am a vegetarian, so I haven't had meat in a long time.
Okay, so
I know he's friendly to that. As in 2024,
there's a part of me that now is worried for you and your future. I didn't know that you were the vegetarian.
It just happened. Like when our son was born, and just going through meals, it's just easier. We're like, if we go out to a restaurant, we'll that was like we'll have meat out there. We just won't make it at home, and then we just stopped. It's just, I don't know. I can't explain it.
Ike's going to get you a jar of dirty sauce. There you go. You can put that on your broccoli or whatever the hell you just like eat broccoli and cauliflower. Is that all there is in your refrigerator?
A lot of chickpeas. And then some people are like, and then they get vegan and vegetarian mixed up. And I'm like, oh no, I will eat cheese until like forever. So no, okay. We're just vegetarian. So.
Well, that lunch that I was talking about, screw that. We'll just go to the bar and drink,
Yeah, the alcohol does my diet better than anything else anyway, so let's be honest.
Let's say you and I are on a plane together, a commercial airplane. We're flying to New Orleans.
I already know your answer. Yes, I could land it for you. Is that what you're going to say?
The commercial airplane, like the big 747, you could take that bad boy down. You could do that. You're that instrument trained.
Let me ask you this. what was that movie with Keanu Reeves where they were on the bus and the bus couldn't stop? And
Speed.
Oh yeah, right. So you've drove a car for how many years? Most all of your life, probably right after 16. Could you drive a bus? Could you go park a bus if you had to?
I think so.
Then why couldn't I land the plane? I've landed, maybe not a 747 in my life, but all the bells and whistles for the most part. Like I know when to put the gear down. I know when to bring the throttles back. I know when to put the flaps in. I know
I always hear the word flaps.
Put the spoilers out. When we land, I'm going to put the reversers out there. So, and I've done it about 8 million times on Flight Sim, which should give you a lot of confidence. Yes, the answer is yes. And I will say that for most of my 20s, when I got into flying and aviation, it was my sick, twisted dream that someday I would get the call, that, is there anybody on this plane who can land this thing? And it's like, yeah, I can. So. But
the closest I've ever come is my aviation merit badge, where we went up in a little Cessna and I got to take over and, tilt the wheel 5 degrees this way, then 5 degrees that way. And they're like, hey, you're flying. And I'm like, I'm flying.
So I used to do that as an instructor. We would have discovery flights where somebody who wants to check this out and I'd sit in the right seat. They'd sit in the left seat, like the captain's seat. And you're right. The biggest tendency of somebody who'd never been in a small plane was they were so careful with the control wheel. And I said, yeah, just turn us to the left. And they would like not really do it because they're just like, they think that we're going to slide out of the sky. I'm like, if I'm here, trust me, don't worry. So what I would do is with the rudder pedals, like they wouldn't see me, and it's not the exact same as turning, but I would like help them through the turn, or like if they're not pitching up, or if they're not, I'm like, all right, let's climb or descend. They're not doing enough, I would take the trim wheel and just kind of flick it up. So they wouldn't see it, but I was like guiding them like, there you go. Yeah. Nice job. So
how'd you get into aviation? You were at an air show when you were a kid and you're just fascinated. Was your dad a pilot?
No.
How did you get into it?
It's crazy. There's a lot of people, I know this in broadcasting, who have family lineage. And that's just like, I don't know, is the seed doesn't fall far from the tree? Is that a saying? I don't know. Whatever. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And it was one of those situations where I don't know what got me into broadcasting. I don't know what got me interested in flying. I was at the end of San Jose State, 2002 into 2003. And I just started getting this bug. And I don't know. I remember, so this is like where I was at in life, asking my mom, like, can I, all the money that was saved for tuition that I didn't use because I went to San Jose State, and saved you some dough. Could I take what was left of that and apply it towards flight lessons just to see if I like it? And if I don't like it, I'll do 5 lessons and I'll be done. And 5 lessons turned into soloing for the first time. I mean, you want to talk about no other feeling in life when that plane pulls off the runway and you're the only one in the plane and like no more instructor for the first time.
Yeah.
That's a moment I'll never forget. Eventually getting my instructor certificate in 2008. It was a 8-hour, what we call an oral examination, like it's an interview with an FAA examiner. And then I do a flight for like 3 or 4 hours. So it was like a 12-hour day. Ironically, it was down in Las Vegas is where I did the test, but I'll never forget. I felt physically and emotionally. It was the proudest thing I've ever done, honestly, in my life. Accomplishment. The broadcasting is not even the proudest thing. That totally was. So I love that stuff. Some people have said even right now, do you want to do a career change? You want to get into flying again? I've had people reach out literally from my buddies at Alaska and United, who are my close friends. Like, any thought? It doesn't make sense for me right now, maybe at my age, if I was 10 years ago, but I love that stuff, man.
What about a pilot and a YouTube show all at the same time, and you broadcast from Brody's cockpit?
Live stream.
I'm spitballing ideas.
I feel like the connection wouldn't be great up there, and I also feel like safety would be, they have something called a sterile cockpit where until you're above 10,000 feet, you pretty much don't focus on anything besides flying and taxiing and landing and taking the plane off, so it kind of busted. Plus, there's already so many other great aviation YouTubers out there. I've got no chance.
When you took off for your first solo flight, was there a parachute in the airplane?
It was not a Cirrus. So Ken Griffey Jr. Flies a Cirrus, and I heard him talking about this the other day. He convinced his wife. He's like, the plane's got a parachute. She's like, okay, get that one. No, it absolutely did not. The parachute's deceiving, though. Like, too many people, when there's an issue, an engine issue, or something's not right, they pull the chute. Well, guess what? Now you're not flying the airplane anymore. You are a glider with no control. Wherever the wind's going to take you, it's going to take you. So I'm of the old school thought that you fly that plane until it's no longer flyable. And if you need the chute, you pull it. But most planes don't even have that.
There's a lot of captain goes down with the ship, and I guess that brings us back to the final A's broadcasts.
Too soon. Still too soon.
How are you going to handle this? How are you going to land this plane on Sunday in your last broadcast?
I think Thursday is going to be tougher with the Coliseum show, just in a sense that...
Are you going to be there at the Coliseum?
We will not. We will actually be in the studio. I think Thursday is going to be harder on me. Look, they're both going to be difficult. Sunday, because last game ever for Oakland across the chest. Last game for me was Stu. Thursday is going to be tough. Coliseum and BIP. I've given everybody the assurances, and I hope they don't mind me sharing this. I'm going to just be as professional as possible about this. It doesn't mean I'm not going to show some emotion and, say some things that make us all feel a little bit uncomfortable, and not on purpose, but like, that's just the whole situation is uncomfortable. There's extremes to this. If I go on and make it a rip show, that's not the right way to do it. If I go on and pretend that this is no big deal and this is not happening, that's not the right way to do it either. I'm just going to try and be me and real as possible. And again, if some things come up that aren't everybody's favorite topic, or they didn't like the way I phrased it, so long as they can see where it's coming from with me and it's fair. And I don't even have, like, I guess you could prepare for something like this, but you also really can't. You really can't write out a list of things that need to be said. Or I told the producer the other day, we were already starting to talk about this. He says, "What do you think we should do for this?" And I said, honestly, from your perspective, for us, just give us minimal, like, show us all the shots of how the place looks, and it's basically me and Bip talking on Thursday. That's it. And what we see, we'll react to, and the conversation, kind of like you and me chatting here, it will lead us where it leads us, and what feels right is where we'll take it. So I don't have any sinister agenda. And to be honest, it kind of goes again with, I hope I'm not going to depart from my approach, how it's always been on this.
Stay you.
Appreciate
you. Be true to yourself, and I don't think you'll ever step in the wrong direction. And you are, there's the element of broadcaster that I think a lot of people look at and they respect how good you are, how smooth you are, how in control of any show that you've ever flown, if you don't mind me saying.
It is kind of like that. Like, you know what? And it's funny. My wife, even through a lot of the tense moments around finding out my news and dealing with this, she's like, you think about this like a pilot. Like, how would you reflect if like the plane had an issue, but you could take care of it? Do you want to come in the back screaming to the passengers like, we're all going down? It's like,
at least I got a parachute. Yeah. Everybody.
See you, suckers. But no, I mean, I think to your point, a lot of it's weird how that part of my life is kind of reflecting right now, where look, it's not the shows are kind of my ship to steer and my plane to land, but the situation, that's kind of been part of it, where I feel like I'm out of control here. Like, I have no control, but I'm going to try and navigate us around the turbulence and try and give us the safest landing possible.
You're an authentic person. Again, you're a good broadcaster. You're a great guy. And I remember when I got laid off, you reached out to me. You were very, very kind. In turn, I told you that, there's people that when they get laid off, you're worried about them. I'm not worried about you, Brodie Brazil. I think you're going to land not just on your feet, but I think you're going to land on your feet on a higher platform than you are currently standing on. I would, if you were a stock, I'd be buying an awful lot of it.
I appreciate that. And you know what? I've been working on some things. I know people recently found out about all this. I've in the background, I've been, figuring out what's next and what it looks like. So hopefully I would, there's nothing more I would love than to, after people go through this, reward them with the fact that we'll all still be connected. I mean, look, you and I can do this anytime. But I just kind of want to get back to maybe the trajectory that I was on. So I appreciate you saying that.
And the OnlyFans page should be amazing.
I mean, that's what this studio is meant for, right? Is that we were joking about that before coming on here. It's like, I can't believe they're trying to pivot that site into being like a content, like a podcast site. And it was years. So people with Matt Olson, they used to say the joke of OnlyFans. And I was like, Damon, I kid you not. I didn't even know what that meant. So then I almost said it on TV one time and somebody's like, whoa. Like, do you know what OnlyFans is? I said, I don't know what that is. Then I found out, and then I never got close to you.
Stay away. Stay away. Little super chat in here. Love Damon and Brody. Hope Brody kills it on his next platform. There's absolutely no doubt that he will. Thanks for inspiring me. When I was pivoting to YouTube, you know, I started looking around that landscape, and I found you quickly, and I'm like, okay, all right. There's a path out of the situation I'm in, and like I said, you're a great guy. We've both been to the Monterey Bay Area Aquarium.
Oh, that's right.
We have so much in common, and let's do more of this, and let's get together for that beer soon.
I appreciate the platform and for talking to me. And you know what? I can't wait until it's weird. This was so important to do, and I appreciate you addressing it. I can't wait until we're just like, hey, is Juwan Jennings the guy here, or is Mason C's? Like, I can't wait until that is our chat, and we can get like back to that fun stuff. Oof,
can I give you? Here's what I would
detox for a while.
If I were on Bay Area radio today, here would be my hot take of the current situation that the 49ers find themselves in. Okay, Hargrave done for the season with a torn tricep isn't good, but at the same time, I really thought that Steve Kerr needed to have Klay Thompson taken away from him. I think that the subtraction of Hargrave means more Collins and Jordan Elliott, and I like that. And I really feel that Hargrave was getting a level of snaps because look at what you're paying this guy. And if you're paying him, you have to play him. Now that he is out of the mix, maybe they get a little bit better in the middle. Hargrave's been a disappointment since signing this contract. So maybe less of him means more for the defensive line in the moment.
I mean, look at Jordan Mason had more rushing attempts in the first 2 weeks this year than 2022 and 2023 as separate seasons. Like, who would have, if you didn't have CMC, like to your point, doors open for other people that never would have happened. And I think honestly, targeting Jennings as much as they did, now they still got to find Ayuk some routes and some footballs. But the point being is like, yeah, I think they are deep enough to be able to do that. But boy, these injuries and the way this is playing out, like this season, it just has felt I mean, the Ayuk deal, the Trent Williams, hold in, hold out, Ricky Pearsall getting shot. I mean, this is last year at the low point of the season, you lose 3 in a row, but that was kind of more in the middle of the season. They'd already set a bar. This year it's win 1, lose 2, how's next week going to go this upcoming week? So, I mean, you're already dangerously at the precise low point of last year already. So
whatever smooth start they needed, they haven't gotten. That's for sure.
I'll say this among all sports, anytime you've been to the final game, Super Bowl, championship, Stanley Cup final, whatever, the hardest part about losing out on that is you remember in that moment how hard it was to get there. Like if you look at the 49ers 2 playoff wins to get them to the Super Bowl, were they 3 points each? I mean, there were a lot of things in the playoffs that had to happen even to get them to the Super Bowl. Getting back there is so much easier in your mind than it actually is on paper. And how many teams even get a second crack at it the Chiefs have been, but how many teams get that second crack year after year to even be in the game? It's so much harder to replicate than you actually remember. So let's hope that the bad luck evens itself out on the good side, but they need some players coming back and doing things more than the way things have been going.
Looking for ways to end my broadcast. I have ended all my shows now with a little Today in History. Would you like to join me for the Today in History segment?
Is this where the smoke machine comes out and the
no,
light show? No, that's different. That's different.
If you wanted to go Club Plus, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Let me get sexy for you. Let me show you my OnlyFans page. All right.
Whoa. Here, I think I can turn off my lights here somehow.
Let's get.
Well, I think I can only turn off the LEDs behind. Well, that didn't do much.
It wasn't as dramatic as we hoped it would be. All right, but here's the thing. Let me turn the light back on so people can actually see what the hell's going on here. Yeah, the Club Plus thing was a good idea, and then it became, I don't know. Anyways, Today in History, Brodie Brazil, happy birthday to Mean Joe Green. Now, when I say Mean Joe Green, do you think Steelers or do you think Coke commercial?
Yeah, both, but probably the Coke commercial. I hate to say it, like that's... But what else was I supposed to know as a kid, right? You know, right. I mean, Yeah.
I mean, Mean Joe Green, by the way, just a badass, right? 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Man of the Year, 5-time first team All-Pro. But hey, kid, catch is probably what he's most known as.
What year was he born?
1946.
Wow.
Mean Joe Green. How old are you, by the way? I think we're the same age, right?
I'm 43.
Oh, okay. I'm a little bit older. Yeah, I'm 49. Okay. Well, you see, this is why your youthful enthusiasm is serving you well.
We're measured by grays now. Like this has, I can't stop this anymore. And actually, I just shaved the beard. And I know it's like, come on. And the last couple of years, wow, it's like I look at old, being on camera, like I can't hide it. I can't, like,
right.
The progression has happened fast.
Right. So that's the thing. You might have seen me 10 years ago. Then I'm on the radio. Now you run into me. You're like, fuck, what happened to you, dude?
Here's the person we can both agree to hate. Guy Haberman, how do you do it? What are you eating and drinking and doing and sleep? Like, how are you? How's Guy not aging?
Here's how well we work.
I need that hairline going back a little bit on you, Haberman.
Joining me at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guy Haberman.
I know. No, I knew he was a friend of the channel. So that's
yes, he's joining me. And so here's the thing. So he got a gig on the Big Ten Network. And I immediately texted him. I'm like, hey, congratulations. By the way, you're definitely getting sent to Bloomington because everybody who's the new guy on the Big Ten Network ladder gets sent to Bloomington before they go to Columbus or Ann Arbor or anything like that. And sure enough, Guy just did the IU game last week. By the way, the rare time in our lives where both San Jose State and Indiana are both 4-0.
Hey, you know what? It's weird how they've gone good and then really bad, and it's just, I know there's always a lot of turmoil. San Jose State to the Pac-6, whatever it is. I don't know about that. I want them to have success and continue building that program. I still wish Alonzo Carter were around. I thought he was such a fun story for them. But I feel like San Jose State football, they'll just come and go. They really will. Maybe same thing with Indiana. I watched that game 2 weekends ago. I think on Fox.
I was there, first time ever at the Rose Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's the rare venue, Brody, that absolutely lives up to the hype. I mean, it's as beautiful as you hoped it would be when you walk in there. It's incredible. It really was.
Are they upgrading it for the Olympics, I think, too?
I don't know I think they're going to do soccer.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I think they're going to even take more improvements to the Rose Bowl, too, and the Coliseum.
They're actually lowering capacity of the Rose Bowl a little bit to they're putting in a huge new entire length of the end zone scoreboard in one of the end zones, and then they're going to leave the classic Rose Bowl scoreboard alone on the other end, but they're going to put in this huge LED screen. But being that it's a national landmark and monument, that they really can't do too much to it, and you certainly wouldn't want to do anything that would ruin the view from inside the bowl. And we will get to the San Gabriel Mountains here in just a second on this day in history. We have more for you. This is going to be impactful for you, Brody. I know I don't even have to ask. I can tell you're a Sesame Street guy and a Muppet guy.
Oh, yeah.
No longer with us today. Jim Henson was born in Greenville, Mississippi in 1936. Can you find me anyone in show business that has done a better job entertaining children over the course now of 50 years and will forever? Like, Sesame Street is going to go on forever. There's no end to Sesame Street.
Damon, as a father, I hope you can resonate with this. Have you heard of Blippi? So Blippi and Jim Henson do not even belong in the same sentence.
No.
I had a love-hate relationship with Blippi, mostly hate. Yeah.
As a father who has 2 kids asking for things to be put on all the time, can I give you the one destination that is actually survivable for the adults in the room? Yeah. Are you into Bluey?
Oh, yeah.
That's
a big one here. Yeah.
And Bluey's got a heart. Bluey talks about family.
Yep.
That is the nicest family I've ever met. Of course, it's a cartoon from Australia, but Mom.
Yeah. my son's like, when the intro, skip it, Dad, skip it. I'm like, you realize we couldn't skip stuff back in the day, right? You had to watch the commercials, you had to watch the intro, but no, the only thing about Bluey is that I wish it were traditional 20-something minute episodes when it's like 7, 8 minutes an episode. It's great stories, to your point, all of that. It's very wholesome, but it's like, could you just go a little bit longer so we could sink into this?
See, this is where I'm going to push back a little. I think the 7-minute episode runtime is
good for you.
oh God, it's exactly what I'm looking for. I will say this about Blippi. Not a fan of new Mika. I liked original Mika, and I think we got an understudy Blippi that's showing up a little bit too much now, and I know way too much more about that than I should. Anyways, happy birthday, Jim Henson, no longer with us. There are two figures from my childhood, and when they passed away, I did cry a little. One was Mr. Rogers, and the other was Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. And then Jerry Garcia is the first time I ever smoked a joint with my dad.
Well, that's certainly an unforgettable memory.
That is an unforgettable moment too. Today, in 1906, Brodie Brazil, the very first national monument was designated in the United States. Would you care to take a stab at what the very first national monument in the history of the United States was? Designated national monument today, September 24th in 1906. I ran this past my wife. She was nowhere in the ballpark. This is a tough one.
Is it in Washington, D.C. or not? Can you tell me?
It is not in Washington, D.C. It is very much in the western. I'll even tell you, it's in Wyoming.
Oh, it's got to be. But it's like Yellowstone's a park.
Devil's Tower.
Oh,
the end of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The Devil's Tower in northeastern Wyoming was the very first national monument in the United States. There are now 134 national monuments, from the Sequoia National Forest to George Washington's birthplace.
Right.
And
I thought it was going to be like the Liberty Bell or something, like, total East Coast, Eastern Seaboard. That's interesting.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was basically they had ruined the Eastern Seaboard, and I think Teddy Roosevelt looked at it. He's like, we got to start protecting some of this shit. And so there you go. By the way, also not known as a national park, but a national monument are the San Gabriel Mountains.
Oh,
I had no idea. I thought a monument had to be man-made. Obviously, nobody made the mountains. Nobody made Devil's Tower. Right. Muir Woods, our very own Muir Woods. A lot of battlefields are national monuments as well.
Yeah.
Brody, today in 1934, Babe Ruth played his last game ever with the New York Yankees.
So that's right before he went barnstorming, right? Like that. Yeah. Then he kind of went on his own little like end of the career type situation. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Back to the Boston Braves or whatever he did there for a minute.
Could you imagine the media coverage though? Like if 34 was 2024? I mean, just like the lead up into that, and it's just,
there would have been a cottage industry telling you that Babe Ruth sucked. This guy sucks. He's out homering the entire league, but I don't know, man. There's a hole in his swing, and if you look at it, his barrel rate, I don't know.
Babe Ruth couldn't go 50-50 like Ohtani, could he? It's I would have loved to have known, like, to take those players of 100, of 80 years ago and transpose them on here and now, just to see how they would do. Like, how would their bodies hold up? How would they hold up in terms of like the media attention? And it's apples and oranges. It's never a fair comparison, but I would love to have known how they would have done in the here and now. It's different.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I would love to have that time machine. Who would have won, the 2014 Warriors or the 96 Bulls? Let's do that. Let's do that for real. If we had a time machine. Here you go. This is officially, you're going to feel old portion of the program. Prince released 1999 as a single off the same titled album today. 1999 is 42 years old.
See, and the thing was, graduating high school in 1999, as I did, I know that makes you feel a little, but not too old, probably, because you're a 90s graduate. So I was in the same decade and century as you. But I mean, what better song, right? 2000 party over, it's out of time. Like, it was just, I mean,
it still works.
Well,
it's 2024 and it still works.
When you're graduating in 99 and the party's over, like
totally.
It hits like that. How could that not be our anthem?
Yeah, no one recorded a song called 1993 for me, so I didn't have an anthem to graduate to. And also, for everyone to really feel old today in 1991, Nirvana dropped Nevermind.
Wow.
Nevermind came out 33 years ago today.
Yeah. So I definitely remember being in middle school and hearing a lot of Nirvana songs and kind of figuring out the band. I just wasn't old enough yet to really appreciate them. But wow. See that and the cover, like,
Right.
infamous cover, but how could you like not think that feels like yesterday? That feels like yesterday, but
Did
33
you
years
know
ago.
that the kid who was the naked
Mhm.
baby
Yeah.
chasing the dollar
Yeah.
turned around as an adult and sued Nirvana?
I remember that. Yeah. But I mean, it's just, and I appreciate like artistic expression, but I never was like, I don't know that I need all that. Like I
Yeah.
just, yeah, it does like a lot of things wouldn't fly in 2024. Like it just, what were we doing?
We got a
90
note back from the studio. It says less baby dick.
I mean, it's like, have you ever thought about this? Like whether it's lyrics of a song or cover art or whatever, there had to have been a conference room of label executives and marketing people, and at some point they're all looking at this and they go, "This is a winner." Or like even think about some songs with the craziest, like most like obscene and obscure lyrics, where it's like, "Oh, this is a banger." Like this, let's go ahead with this. Like how who in that room is like, "I'm feeling great about this," you
It's
know?
amazing. It's amazing. I guess it depends on who's in the room.
I guess, or like, is nobody in? Did you just publish this? Is there any checks and barriers on this stuff? I don't know. And look, I don't, whatever. I'm not losing any sleep over it, but I always find the process of approvals and like what's a good idea very fascinating.
Thank you for being in this room today, Brody.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Stick around for just don't click out, but we are going to end the show right
Okay.
here. I have more to talk to you about offline, but thanks so much to Brody for joining us. I wish you the very best in your final broadcast, not only around the A's. Your future is bright, young man.
Thank you.
There's no doubt about that.
I appreciate you, Damon. And we'll do it again. This is not the end of us, so I appreciate that.
There you go. It's only the beginning, boys and girls. But in the meantime, we do need to let you know that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that,